Hello and welcome to another Wargame Red Dragon. We're on Hop and Glory again with the British deck. I wanted to show the British deck one more time before I made a new deck. I didn't really want to show you Hop and Glory again, but this game was really good and it showed off the British armour really well, whereas the last game showed off more of the infantry and air and stuff like that. So I'm heading off to Juliet with just a command infantry and a challenger marksman, which is sort of meant to be travelling with it to keep it covered from air attack, although it's going across the ground for some reason, not on the roads. We've got Killer Karyuk, who is heading up to the left hand side here and is going to try and look like he's going to try and go over towards Charlie around the back of this mountain, similar to what I did in the last game. Gaddafi is heading towards Delta, and Geronimo is taking Delta and sort of heading up to the middle here somewhere to see if he can do any damage over there. And who's holding the base? Killer Karyuk's holding the base. We're playing against Arthur Foxake, Draglid, Warzoos, and Nandimonala, whatever that is. So Gaddafi's the first one to enter the fray. He gets attacked by a couple of Su-27, well, an Su-27 and a MiG-29. Another MiG-29 who just attacks his units. He's got some Celtics here which get a few shots off. Not sure if they take any of those planes out. Difficult to tell in Conquest. This is Conquest, so it's a bit of a land grab at the start. Get your CVs out and then hold ground, or if you're behind, snipe the enemy CVs in any way you can. Now the enemy bring in a load of these Z9 infantry carrying choppers, and Gaddafi moves his Pumas forward to engage. They get their units out. I'm assuming that's some sort of a North Korean deck, I'm not sure. I'm not really very au fait with the North Korean decks at all at the moment, so I haven't really played them or looked at the decks too much. But Gaddafi gets a fair amount of infantry in there, and he napalms the heck out of their infantry who are in the other half, so he's looking quite good. He's got a fair amount of commandos in there. He's got his Pumas that can still do a little bit of damage if they don't die across this napalm. He's got some ATGMs as well, and he's being supported a little bit by Killer on the left there. Now, in the meantime, I landed my command infantry with their marksmen assisting them, and I'll bring out some anti-air, more anti-air, some javelins. I also bring out my biggest tank in the deck, my Challenger 2, and that's sort of supported by a marksman anti-air and a recon unit, so that's a spot for it, and another Challenger marksman over there on the right hand side. And I sort of put them immediately gets attacked. Actually, I just pull them back and I just put them in this tree line while I'm concentrating on the right side here. I land some javelins, push that javelin up just to try and take out that MI. Yeah, that goes down. That's another infantry, so there's probably a recon over there somewhere. They sent a couple of these Q-50 sort of attack planes, but the javelins do a nice job, and I bring out my Eurofighters to try to combat those 3 Eurofighters in my deck right near the start. So as you can imagine, I've got a lot of points left after bringing 3 Eurofighters in, but what I do is bring forward a Lynx here, which I brought in near the beginning of the game once I captured that zone, and that's going to unload, and they're going to make their merry way over towards Bravo to try and spot some enemy, and in particular the enemy CV if they can get hold of that. Now the enemy have got some units in this clump of trees here, and no doubt they've got some units reconning over here, so I send my recons, my green jackets, forward just to see what they can see, and a Chinook comes in to resupply my lad javelins. In the meantime, Gaddafi seems to be getting control of Delta, and Killer Karyuk is having his little battle on the left excuse me on the left here. It's quite difficult for him as it is for the guy that's fighting against me on this side, because we've got the spawn, he's got the spear spawn point here in Charlie, I've got the spawn point here in Juliet, so we can bring out units a lot quicker, whereas of course Killer's got to bring his all the way from back in India. Now they do send over a few planes. They sent over this Fabio, which I chase out with my Eurofighter. I take the Fabio out, but my Eurofighter unfortunately gets taken out as well. I probably pushed it a bit too far there, but I do know now that they've got some anti-air in these trees over here. Now I also bring in this Lynx sort of command vehicle, and I'll tell you why I did that in a minute. In retrospect it was a bit of a mistake, but I did it anyway. But my special boat force have spotted this unit up here. It's their command unit, and yeah, there's their command, and they've left their APC right next to it. If you ever unload infantry from an APC, move the APC away from the infantry, otherwise they're going to spot it really easily. They should probably put them in the tree here and just move that APC out of the way, but I don't know, maybe I could have still spotted it anyway. But that's not going to last long now. I've been spotted, because I think Gaddafi's got a whole load of French infantry which will shortly be incoming on this poor little squad. They're sitting there, don't know what's coming, and they're stunned straight away with a nearby arty shot. Ooh, and yeah, they're not going to survive that, are they? Poor things. There's what remains of their armoured vehicle, and what remains of them cannot be seen. And what did that damage? It was the French artillery, these AMX, where are they? These AMXs back here. Oh, sorry, AMX Alf 1s, owned by Gaddafi, and yeah, so they did a nice job there. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, we're up here. I haven't brought a lot more in since the last time we looked at the right hand side. I just micro my infantry back a bit. I don't want it to get shot down because it's probably been spotted by these MI2s now. But I try to put my javelins forward just in the hope that he's not paying too much attention and that I can get a sneaky shot on this MI2 reconnaissance chopper. Also keeping an eye out, they've got a few sort of cheap tanks here. Well, in fact, they're armoured cars with, oh, they're vehicles. They're like sort of, I don't know, there's some sort of a vehicle with a anti-tank weapon attached to the main gun there. So I've got to be careful of those. My anti-tank infantry in the meantime are peppering, so they've definitely got units here in these trees here, they've got units in these trees, and they've got units in these trees. They've probably got recon up here as well. Looks like my lad javelin either took that chopper out or they took it away. In the meantime, the reason I bought out this command was thinking I'll sneak it up there on the right and take it over to Bravo. But however, you can see I think they are definitely hunting for my SBS there with 3 recon choppers. I think they've probably spotted it because they sort of surrounded it. My Lynx gets taken out, and yeah, my poor SBS squad get taken out as well. But I think a posthumous Medal of Honor for those guys for grand work being done over in Bravo behind enemy lines. So in the meantime, over on the left, Killer Karaoke is continuing his struggle, attacking Charlie, and yeah, Gaddafi's got a VAB PC onto Delta, so we have control of that now. They were actually getting 1 point more than us, so they were now in the lead in this conquest match, although it's honours even at the moment. So somehow we've got to push, and we've got to get another region from somewhere, or try to snipe one of their CVs so that we can get some points and get back into the lead. So what's happening over here on the right? Well, that Lynx ain't going to do too much. It's just going to sit there until it has an opening. I do bring in Challenger Mark 1, a couple of Challenger Mark 10s, Chieftain Mark 10, sorry, the old favourite. I've got some anti-air, so I just start like nudging forward, see what damage I can do. Immediately spot a few of their units. There's some anti-air over there. There's that recon chopper. It's still there. And who knows what's in here. So I bring forward a Lynx with some Gurkhas in, I think, in the hope that these Gurkhas are going to be able to go into these trees and take out whatever's in those trees, and someone nicely is artillerying it as well. And SU-25 comes in just to have a go at Manager. It just gets a hit. One of its bombs hit, takes out 2 units of health. These are quite strong, these Challengers, so I'll just micro these back, because all these anti-tank tanks, armoured vehicles are pushing forward, and there's some cheap tanks coming in as well, and an Mi-24 with its Flatar anti-tank missiles. So lots of anti-tank weaponry, and my Gurkhas, unfortunately, because they've lost the support a little bit of these the tanks, are getting hammered by this Mi-24. There's not a lot I can do about it. I can't really just put my tanks into the guns of the Mi-24. I've got a couple of Lynx TOW2s up as well to try and do some damage, because they are tending to spam tanks forward. Lots of cheap stuff coming from them. I've got some Stormers as well. These have got anti-tank weapons, anti-air weapons, and in fact look, they've got a missile which take out, Saclos missiles take out air and land units as well, whether they're sort of armoured vehicles, tanks, aircraft, whatever. They're not quite as powerful as the ADAT system, but they're still a pretty decent unit with a pretty good range. Now I start nudging forward my Challenger and Chieftains again. These Lynx TOW2s have already run out of ammo. See what they've got. They've got quite a bit of anti-air, some T-72s there. Now Gaddafi joins in on the act, and he pushes forward a Leclerc supported by a load of AMX-40s. The Leclerc, one of the big guns of the game. There it is. It's got some anti-tank weapons, infantry as well. Massive front armour, massively powerful main gun. Unstoppable as long as it's always pointed in the right direction. And these AMX-32s and AMX-40s, they're pretty good. They've got triple armour, not triple armour, triple armaments, should I say, in that they've got their main gun, and they've got a machine gun for shooting infantry, and they've also got an auto cannon as well. So they're pretty well wrapped, as long as they can get fairly close to the enemy. But he's really got them to support these Leclercs, which can do most of the big damage. Now my Challengers have managed to push forward through these tree lines with the help of these Chieftains. I'm just bringing my Stormers forward. I've got a couple more Stormers out, and trying to keep my Javelins up as well, and my Challenger Marksmen, just to provide a bit of air support. Then all these cheap tanks come in. So some load of cheap tanks come in, about 4, 8, about 12 of them. And if we have a quick look in neutral perspective, you can see that they've got quite a lot of cheap stuff coming down the road. So there's a load of SU-100, just cheap tanks. I've not seen them before. I've not come across them in the game before. They're all sort of North Korean. A load of T-72s, which we do know what they are. PTZ-59s, I'm not sure what they are, but they're just cheap tanks. I think they're North Korean tanks. Loads of them coming in, so they're just spamming loads of stuff out, trying to push me back. And I've got like the heavy stuff, but I obviously haven't got as many. So really interesting battle, and half of my problem in this game was actually keeping my units supplied with enough ammunition to shoot all of the enemy tanks that are coming at me. So let's go back into just my perspective for a moment. Now then, so Gaddafi's still pushing forward, and he manages to get some infantry into the town in Echo, and has taken out their CV, which actually gives us a 1-point lead now, so we just start to accrue some points. I'm just trying to micro my tanks backwards and forwards. Like when they get damaged, I just need to pull them back. So I haven't, because these are the bigger tanks, I haven't got a lot of them. I've got to try and keep them alive, whereas they are just like not using any sort of resupply. They're just pushing more and more cheap tanks forward, whereas I'm bringing in my Chinooks to try to resupply my stuff and then rearm it and maybe fix it up a little bit before it goes back into the battle. So it's two different kind of techniques. Both can be successful, though I tend to use standard decks rather than spam decks. There's 8 faggots been dropped off there, so they need to be taken out because they can do some damage, especially to my cheaper tanks. So hopefully these Challengers will deal some. Yeah, they took them out. Oh no, they're still there. Should soon take them out, I hope. Get a couple of shots, and there's all these tanks now coming down. These PTZ 59s coming down the road. So I'm getting a bit thin on the ground now, so things are getting very damaged. Stormers are running out of ammo. Challengers down to 1 health, Chieftains down to 2 health. That gets destroyed. All 3 get destroyed, and the Stormer goes down as well. And these Spammage of tanks rolls forward. I'm getting very thin on the ground now. I've got some Lynx TOW2s that can just maybe take a couple more out. I've got my Milan 2s as well, the infantry. I've got another Challenger there, that might hold them for a little bit, and the Stormers as well. I need to get this TOW2 in the air, which I do. I've all been refueled by these 2 Chinooks here. And in the meantime, just to help me a little bit. I say a little bit, a lot. There's Totu's coming over from Geronimo from the middle, and Gaddafi is pushing forward his Leclerc and his AMX 40s and 32s as well. So, battle continues. There's actually a T90, which is sort of a T72 upgrade for the game, North Koreans. A very powerful tank, can take out most of mine, and a load more units coming in. And SU-25 is going to try and do a bombing run, or it's missed. I don't know what he's trying to bomb. Chinooks, I've got 2 there, completely been emptied. I bring in some anti-tank gun infantry just to try and hold back all this spammage, as I call it, and another Chinook back there just refueled. I need to send these Chinooks back, which I do eventually for a refuel. So I'm having struggle holding these guys now. My Totus are resupplied, so they should be able to hold them back. I've unloaded my Milan 2 infantry, and they'll just push forward. So these chieftains are the only real barrier. I've got these stormers just behind the chieftains. The stormers haven't got great armour, so they do need protection. And the Milan 2s are just pushing forward as well and unleashing their ATGMs. See, everything's firing. That's what you need. Everything spread out, everything firing, not all firing at the same target, hopefully, as well. They're still bringing in a load of T55s now. More cheap tanks. More T72s. These are pretty okay, these T62s, but all these ATGMs firing away, and luckily I've got Gaddafi on my flank to my left pushing forward. He's also managed to completely take out of Delta as well. So we're I did that already, but never mind, I forgot. So yeah, so another challenge just comes up. All my Land 2s are pretty much out of ammo, so I need to stop them going forward and try to get them resupplied. I need to send these Chinooks back. I brought these Lynx 3s in as well. They've also run out completely out. They had 8 Hellfire missiles each. They've used them all up. So these Chinooks need to scurry back to the fob and reload and come back, because there are more and more tanks pouring forward from their base. There's a load more coming forward here as well. Oh, in fact, is that all anti-air? That's all anti-air, right. Okay. So, it's difficult for me to keep pushing forward, but Gaddafi luckily is going forward. He's nearly run out of fuel for all his tanks. So he needs resupply as well. He comes across all that anti-air. There's also some T-55s that needs to be careful it doesn't get flanked. Probably won't. Knows what he's doing. Loses a couple of AMXs there. There's that T90. Everything's firing at that T90, and it gets taken out eventually. I'm not sure if that was an AMX 32 or the Leclerc got the final shot in there. Now, I do actually run out of tanks to bring in, so I've actually brought in these Strikers. These Strikers have got a nice swing fire missile. They've got 10 of them, so they've got pretty much quite a lot of ammo. And they're great against sort of medium tanks and stuff like that. It's not too heavily armoured, unless they can get side shots into big tanks. They're not that well armoured themselves, so I do stop them short of going into this. I know that all their armour has just retreated into this big bush, so I'll let my Challenger and Chieftains chase after them into the bush, and in the meantime I'll leave the Strikers on the outside, and they'd actually engage these T62s. A couple of tornadoes from somebody, I'm not sure who that was, actually came in and bombed everything in this trees over here. The Strikers move forward over towards this other trees on the left here, and I'll let my Challenger push forward the tree. Oh, a couple of Strikers do go in there. Luckily for me, I managed to find myself 3 cargo trucks half full of ammo, which is quite useful, because as you can see, the further my Strikers go forward, they've gradually begin to run out of ammo. Now I've also brought forward these other, where are they? These Milan, where are they? Rover Milans as well. Another cheap unit. They've only got the Milan F1. It's not the most powerful beast in the packet, but that's all I had left basically, so I brought them in. But again, they'll do a decent job against lightly armoured. Normally they're better for sort of ambushing, but in this case I'm using them as an offensive unit. So Strikers running out of ammo, bring these cargoes over that I captured to try and refuel them, and then bring my Challenger and Striker up to see what's over this ridge here. Trying to keep my anti-air up, so I just need to bring that forward a little bit. Bringing forward some more another Stormer, some more Rover Milans. Chinooks are all seem to be all refueled, and they're finally deciding to make their way forwards. Now we're on 70%. We haven't got a lot to go. We're on +4, so it's looking good. Strikers soon slurp up the remains of that logistics from those trucks. If I quickly go to neutral, you can see they've not given up. They've got a whole load of tanks coming out here, a whole load of like T-34s and all sorts of, well, crappy tanks coming out, but lots of them, and so they're not giving up. Let's go back to my perspective. Bubblebox around. So I did actually push my Challenger up on that ridge, but it immediately got hammered by all these tanks. My Lynx 3s are throwing forward and getting attacked by these strange looking choppers that are all over the shop. Ooh, they're going down. Yeah, I think did I lose my Lynx 3s? Yeah, I lost my Lynx 3s. Okay, so the Chinooks are coming in to try to resupply, because you can see they're bringing another spam down there over the ridge, and everything is running out of ammo. Those Chief Marksmen need to be careful. Got another Challenger there, just pull that Chief Marksman back. The Chinooks managed to land in a position just to the rear of my main forces so that they can try to resupply all these Milan 2s here. They're all out of ammo. A lot of these strikers are out of ammo. The Stormers are getting low on ammo as well. So I need to just micro them back towards the Chinooks, while the ones that have got a little bit of ammo left can keep the enemy engaged. But we reach our 800 points and game. So that was pretty nice, and it really showed off the armour of the British deck, and also the vehicles, their anti-tank gun vehicles, which are going to be important, I think, on some of the maps in this game. Didn't use infantry so much, used a few javelins and a few anti-tank gun weapons, but I didn't use the other infantry that much, although I did use them a lot in the other video that I used for the Brit deck, along with a lot of the aircraft, which you can have a look at on the site hopefully. So thanks for watching, guys. Please do comment, like and subscribe. I haven't got a massive amount of subscribers yet, but I haven't been going that long, so I hope to get a few more. But if there is anything, it doesn't matter if you are few, if there is anything you'd want me to do or build, or any decks you'd want me to have a play with, just let me know and I'll give it a go. So please do comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.